Amazing. So once again, thanks for tuning in, everyone, today. I'm just going to turn it over to the council, and they're going to open with their introduction, and then you can share your questions. Any questions that are important to you are important to all that is, so feel free to ask whatever you like. And thanks once again for tuning in today. It means a lot that you're here with us, and yeah, very grateful to be able to share in this way. Hello, and we say a good day to you at this moment of your time. As the Pleiadian Council, we do speak on behalf of the Galactic Alliance and many other beings of the light here with you at this time, wishing to assist your planet in this great process that you are all experiencing together. We first of all begin by thanking you for allowing these transmissions to occur, because as you do meet with us and connect with different interdimensional guides of this nature, there is a great ripple effect that allows this love, this light, this energy to spread throughout all that is and catalyze great transformation. And for this, we are very appreciative and thankful. So today we begin this transmission by speaking about this idea of your purpose. And we entitle this transmission The Pleasure of Purpose Principle. In your world, there have been many who have come up with this idea of the pleasure principle, that naturally humans and all creatures move towards what brings them pleasure and away from what brings pain. So working with this idea at a higher level, we want to speak to the pleasure of your own higher purpose. Now, this question, what is my purpose, is a very common one that you ponder. And again, the core of our message that comes through this channel, that comes through many other channels and different channeled beings, of course. And this is simply our translation of this message, but it is as simple as doing what you love all of the time. Allowing that force of love to guide you to those activities you choose, those relationships you choose, those thoughts you choose even. Another way of putting this has come through as follow your highest excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on a particular outcome. So to do this is as simple as, out of every option that you have, choosing that one that when you imagine it, when you move closer towards it, you feel a natural opening and enlivening in your heart. And this can be anything from a physical activity to a meditation practice. Is your heart guided to it naturally? If it is a clear part of your greatest evolution. And so the idea of this transmission is that the more you tune into this calling in your heart, the more you will experience this energy of a higher pleasure, you could consider. The pleasure of your soul at work moving through you and your higher self transmitting to you these higher frequency energies. Now, many of you can even tune to this frequency naturally when you listen to certain transmissions from these beings, or you tap into your own guides. When you sit to connect with that higher frequency, there is this powerful force that moves through your body, and we do describe it as one that is a higher pleasure. So understanding that part of your evolution is also the clearing of your belief systems is key to this process as well. So sometimes in order to get clear and take the steps that truly call to your heart the most, you must change the way you see things by changing the beliefs that are at the core of how you perceive reality. So somebody must please stop typing or mute themselves, and we will continue to say that as you, again, find what you believe to be true about yourself, about reality, about what is possible and what is not possible, about your own sense of worthiness, deserving, capability, and you go
I need the silver card.
deeply into those beliefs and question them, probe into them, ponder what is the opposite belief here? What if the opposite of this were true? To create a new structure of belief that highlights your freedom, that highlights your choice, that shows you that everything is possible. You then make the space to be able to follow this highest joy that is accessible for you. Now, of course, part of the idea is, in order to change and release these belief systems, it involves a process of feeling emotionally all of the emotions and feelings that arise out of the beliefs. And it is through your emotional nature that you are able to experience the beliefs that are there beneath the surface. And the idea is that it, of course, is uncomfortable to move through these feelings. But when these emotions are rising, it is always a sign that you are under the influence of such belief systems. And when you can use even the moments that you feel these emotions rising to the surface as powerful invitations to attune to the pleasure of your purpose, you will find that there's a current of energy that you can ride into those stuck and tense places within yourself and use that higher force of love to unroot those belief systems. So the idea, in summary then, is that if you can get a sense of your greater purpose, the purpose of simply expanding natural love and joy, when you can affirm to yourself that while there are many aspects that make up your unique contribution to your reality, the most underlying and fundamental key to this is feeling that frequency of unconditional love, allowing it to move through your being, move through your energy field, and knowing that as it does, that energy radiates out from you and brings others to resonate with that core vibration. And of course, in order to make the space for this vibration to be held in even more of your vessel, it is necessary to move through this process of examination of negative beliefs that some of you call shadow work even. And this process itself is in no way separate from the light work. For as you go into those places, it is the way that you take this higher frequency into your being, into those feelings, and trust that no matter what the belief you encounter, what emotion you encounter, it is always, in a sense, a distortion of the higher truth. The higher truth that you are unconditional love and form. And the more you affirm this to yourself, the more that knowing will carry with you all of the time. The more that knowing will be present for you to be able to move through accelerated layers of transformation, moving to deeper and deeper belief systems about yourself until all of those beliefs have transformed into beliefs that you are inherently worthy, into beliefs that say that you are inherently capable and inherently connected to all that is. Beliefs that show you that all of your higher self's power can move through you if you allowed it. And as you do this and reprogram yourself, you will unleash even greater purpose. And each and every one of you now is a key player in the evolution of humanity at large. And again, all you must do is stay attuned to that frequency of love. And of course, in last week's transmission, we spoke to how your DNA changes and transforms the more you are in tune with that frequency of love. It is as simple as that, and it does not matter what you are doing as long as you love doing it. Knowing this will allow for a great energy to ripple out. And again, we thank you every time you do this, because even we are affected by the ripple that occurs when you choose to do what you love the most. Many of you are wondering that why perhaps we communicate with you through channels, but we are not doing more to help you. And the truth of the matter is, we are doing absolutely everything we can all of the time to reach out and to be of support to your planet's ascension. And it is you that must, in a way, pick up the phone. It is always within you. The ability to receive this energy is always there and need not be dependent upon an external channel or any sort of activity or meditation or anything in order to meet us. All you have to do is listen deeply in your heart, act upon what you love, and trust that as you do that, more guidance will be there. If you, again, transform your beliefs to affirm to you that you are an intuitive and capable being, we would be speaking to you all the time and sending you as much energy as you are capable of receiving. So do know that as you are here today, you are capable of, and many of you are truly meant to be, ambassadors between the worlds, and those who can use your connection to these higher forces to support many others in awakening. And of course, not every being out there that you encounter is ready to hear a message from beings like ourselves, but every being out there that you encounter can handle a degree of this vibration of unconditional love. And if you suppose you encounter someone who cannot meet this frequency of an angels, of extraterrestrials, and so on and so forth, they can still open up to a degree of love. So you must simply decide what degree of love you are willing to share and trust that it'll work out. Meet people where they are and know that everyone is an aspect of this one source. And when you see the one source in all, you will be attuned to love, and you will be able to hold that space of love even for those who withhold their love, or even worse. So we thank you for allowing this message to be shared initially today, and we will continue to answer your questions, to speak to what needs to evolve and change within your personal and collective experiences at this time. Whenever you wish, you may begin, and we will do our best to answer and to reflect to you the inherent truth in your innermost being.
So Chris, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. And thanks, Pleiadian Council. So today I wanted to ask a question about chakras. I was hoping to understand a little bit more about, so there's a lot of very traditional teachings about, the 7 primary chakras and other subsidiary minor chakras, a very established tradition, but also in like the cutting edge, progressive, new age trends, there's some people who are saying things like, oh, the chakra system's upgrading, there's 3 now, or they've turned from cones into spheres, or there's 1 now, and there can be a lot of, so that makes me wonder, Are chakras a kind of fundamental built-in part, like universal anatomy, or are they a permission slip that we're self-creating like everything else that can be any way we want it to be?
Chakras are innately built into the structure of your bodies at this time. And of course, you can use the many permission slips to affect the flow of energy through your chakras and to reach even higher levels of your energy body. So, what many people are pointing to when they are talking about a chakra system that is shrinking or collapsing are experiencing what happens when the energy naturally flows through all the chakras unimpeded. And this leads you to experience the natural functioning of your aura, which will come to feel as if the chakras have dissolved because there is no longer any impediments to the flow. However, because your chakras are attached to certain nervous ganglia in your system, there is always this certain feedback loop between your physical reality and non-physical reality. So they are very much a part of you, and truly other beings have chakra systems as well. Another aspect of this idea of the chakras collapsing is a realization that at multi-dimensional levels, in other words, at higher dimensional levels, certain chakra functions are unified. So in your third dimension, you have this plexus of energy around your heart and one at your solar plexus. And at a higher level, the heart and the solar plexus are one energy center. So many people, as they go through that process of ascension, will experience that shift. Again, as the blocks between the chakras disappear, they will seem more unified because, again, they are only parts of a whole.
So, but there is some grounding in cosmic law about the primary seven, and if it's part of your highest excitement, it's worth studying them still because they're kind of.
Oh, yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes, it is a foundation. You must understand them within this physical third dimensional reality in order to ever experience the unification of the chakras in those higher dimensional states.
Cool. Since there's less people today, if it's okay, I'll ask one more quick little question.
Yes.
I'd like to hear your take on, we just experienced the astrological shift of the north and south nodes into
Yes.
Gemini and Sagittarius. Can you talk about that
Yes.
energy?
All right. So with this transition, there is now a focus on knowledge and communication. And this is, in a way, very practical knowledge, with the focus being in Gemini. So now is the time for everyone to begin to see more objectively. So this south node in Sagittarius can be seen as a sort of comfort zone, a sort of collective understanding of personal truth, subjective truth. And now is a time to be able to see beyond what is true for you and come to grasp more of what is universally true. And this is a great challenge because there are many sources of conflicting information out there. And so the great evolutionary curve for the human psyche at the time is to be able to hold every one of these perspectives to be true. For seeing the truth inherent in everything is the first step to gaining a more seamless access to what you would consider objective truth. Objective truth holds every single subjective truth as a truth, and then comes to see which aspects of that truth are universal. So in cultivating this energy, there will be much time spent studying, communicating, reflecting, and creating. So you may consider this a very mentally active and creative time in which your ideas are challenged. And again, it is a release of deeply held personal beliefs that limit you from accessing that more objective level of truth, that higher frequency of truth.
Gotcha. Thanks, guys. That's really cool.
Yes, and our great thanks and love to you as well.
Ellis, you can go ahead and go next, and you can ask all three of your questions. Are you there, Ellis? I don't hear her yet.
Yes, sorry.
There she is.
I was
Okay.
unmuting.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't believe I have three all at once. But I guess I'm wondering about how shifting can kind of bring in questions of safety and protection through times of transition and letting go, and we kind of hold on to things that we feel like is protection. So I guess my question is, how do we work on trusting that process, that we are safe and that stepping into what we love may feel uncomfortable, and letting go of these beliefs will feel uncomfortable, but that we are always safe?
Well, the first thing to do would be to ask yourself, what real threat am I potentially facing in taking this step? Is there a real threat there? A real threat to my immediate survival? So, do you have some theme of an edge, of a place where you want to explore deeper, that yet there is a layer of fear around?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the finding place like home, moving from something that has been familiar, stepping into a line of work that may be less secure,
Yes.
emotionally, or opening up to new relationships, new kinds of relationships,
Yes.
that our emotional and physical survival relies on.
All right. So, if you imagine attempting this new expression of your gifts, this new means of experiencing abundance through those gifts, do you suppose it is possible that you get to a point of failure that means you cannot even continue to live? Do you suppose that reality is so cruel that that would be the outcome?
It's possible. I mean,
It's
depending on,
possible. So there would be no other people in your life. There would be no external help given should this not succeed. Do you really believe that?
unless I open and be vulnerable, and I'm vulnerable and say, I need help
Okay,
with
so
this.
then what you are
Yeah.
really afraid of is vulnerability. It is not putting your gifts out there. And that ties in very well with the other aspect of what you were sharing. So what is so dangerous about being vulnerable, would you say?
I would probably say the the potential loss or loss of community or judgment,
All right.
or kind of disconnection that could come from
Have
some
you,
places, but
yes, have you experienced this kind of a disconnection before?
Yes, some judgments about how I'm feeling about things. It's not usually coming from a place of love, though, when I share them.
Yes. Though,
Mm,
have you grown and evolved through that experience of an external sort of disconnection?
yes.
And do you see, as one door closes, another opens?
Yes.
So, really, there's many things we could say about this. The first being that for much of what you learn in your physical reality, it is through that process of trial and error. As you go through an experience and make connections, you learn so much about yourself. And sometimes you learn some things about yourself that show you the connection that you initially made is not the truest connection for you. And through that lesson, you take time to reflect upon what you've learned and you move on, knowing even more that allows you to make a stronger and clearer connection the next time. So understanding this process is helpful in accepting that every connection and every new friend, new community, new client in your life is but a springboard to bring you to new heights. And also understanding this idea of loss in your third dimension. Again, the linear time you experience is but an illusion. When you see from the perspective of your soul, you will see all moments of time expressed as one thing, as one moment. And so those moments of the greatest love that remain strong memories for you are really occurring right now. And if you can tap into them and savor them, you derive a great sweetness that actually shows you the true multidimensional nature of your reality. And so never fear creating connection for the worry of loss in your linear sense of time. For as you deepen in connection in the moment, know that that moment is an eternal moment that will exist forever as an aspect of your soul and as an aspect of all that is. And every moment you raise in love, you set the bar a bit higher. It is easier to raise to that same height of love and go beyond it the next time. And of course, the process naturally involves peaks and valleys. You go a bit higher and then you move into a valley, but the next time you ascend into a peak, you go even higher than the previous time. So humans have a tendency to slow that process by noticing that you are going down the peak and into the valley, and you walk very cautiously and slowly and attempt to resist that force of gravity that brings you through the valley. And then when you get to the bottom of the valley, sometimes you stop altogether and you become sad that you do not see things from the same perspective as you did when you were on the heights of that peak. And in that regret and remorse, you are in a way spending more time than you need to in the valley, because there's yet another peak higher than the one before just around the corner. And if you allowed yourself to courageously walk forward and reach and ascend to the next greatest height, the process would move much smoother. And of course, after that, you would go through another valley and then into a higher peak. This is the way that things work in your world. So accepting the process and knowing that every time you move into love, there will be a greater release of fear-based beliefs that brings you into the valley and can cause some inertia. Yet that is naturally as well part of the process. And when you can derive pleasure and love in that part of the process as well, the inertia will go and you will be able to move through these peaks and valleys, these cycles of expansion and release much quicker. Does that help you?
It does. Thank you.
Any
It's,
other questions? Can we clarify this or anything you'd like to share?
just thinking about how it can be difficult in those valleys to kind of see the next peak and
Yes.
remember the peak before. So keeping that in mind and carrying that love with us
Yes.
is really important to do, and forgiving ourselves for not always feeling like we can do that or not always doing that.
Yes.
Thank you.
For when you forgive yourself, when you hold unconditional love for yourself, you are in a sense remembering the unconditional love that Source has for you. You can know that regardless of how long you stay in that valley, you are loved by Source eternally.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you as well. And again, remember that you are all impeccable creations and that nothing about you is flawed. And every manifestation occurs in the exact way it needs to for the evolution of your soul. So understand that creation itself is impeccable. It is so precise and so accurate in the way it reflects vibration. So that core of self-acceptance will allow you to see everything that you experience as perfect. And in doing so, the process of raising and elevating a vibration will happen quite naturally and effortlessly.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Ellis. We have a question from Pauline, and
All
then,
right.
yeah, then after Pauline, Weaving Wisdom, and then Denise. So I will start with Pauline's question. Takes me a while to go back here. Here we go. All right. So I wanted to ask about my star family. Where am I from? And any guidance from them. I am scared about the move to South Carolina and just going by my gut instincts with nothing to go on. So those are the two, her star family, any guidance from them, and feeling some fear around her move to South Carolina. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, as we interpret your individual energy, we do see a great connection occurring between you and the Pleiadian world. Now, as well, you have contributed some of your genetic information to the hybridization program, and you do have hybrid children, and they do on occasion attempt to make contact with you in your dream times, yet thus far this energy has not been fully received and integrated. So in opening up to connection, you can practice meditation and playing with sound and vibration, even experiencing such things as a shamanic journey and creating an altar will allow for greater connections to emerge. So as for your move, there is a great calling that is moving you there, and you may not understand all of the reasons for it at first. Part of the initial journey can involve some inward moments of deep self-reflection that prepares you to step into greater openness, both spiritually and in terms of personal relationships within the next chapter of life. There are certain vortexes where you are going that you will encounter that will allow for this greater energy to connect with you, and as well different relationships that arise. So while we understand there is fear in leaving behind the old, understand that anything you leave behind you can still return to for other purposes at other times. And now there are new opportunities available for you that you can only receive when you open to that great unconditional love that will bring you into new directions. So yes, we thank you again for your question, and we hope that helps.
Great. And we have a question from Weaving Wisdom. Do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Okay. Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Okay, so I have
Your sound is not coming through so clearly at this time.
pain that I ever experienced. And so I went to the dentist, so they're
We cannot hear you.
both teeth and be pulled out. And I went
We still cannot hear you.
Why don't you go ahead and type in the chat your question, and I'll go ahead and ask it.
Are you still there? All right.
She there? Oh, maybe she lost her connection there. Okay, well,
All right.
when she comes
Well,
back, we'll bring her in. Denise, would you like to go ask your question? Denise, are you there? I don't know where Denise is. Okay, so
Oh, hello.
let me find
I
out.
guess I had some connection problems.
Yeah, can you please type your question in the chat?
Yes.
Okay, great.
If somebody wants to, you can go at the main time while I type the question, because it might take a
we
minute
can
or
hear
so.
you now.
Now your sound is good. Go ahead
Oh,
and ask.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So it happened like 2 or 3 times a few months ago. I had so extreme tooth pain. It was the most craziest pain I ever experienced. So I also want to know, what is the deeper meaning, like what is the life lesson and the learning behind this pain that was so extreme. And also I went to the dentist and he told me that 2 teeth need to come out, like literally be pulled out. And so I went away from the dentist and I didn't do it because I was thinking, oh, I don't want to lose an organ of my body, because knowing about holistic healing, I really don't like the idea. And so he said, okay, the infection went away, but he said the infection can come again and it can be even worse than it was. And it already was really, really hard for me to, handle so much pain. So I'm a little bit afraid that it comes back, and I'm wondering, how can I best heal it? Do I really need to pull it out, or can I heal it myself? Is there any like natural thing that I can do? So I would love some guidance on that.
All right. Which 2 teeth are they?
They're like on the left side, up, like not the lower part of the teeth, but the upper part of the teeth, and they are like in the middle, like they're not in the front, they're not in the back, they're kind of like in the left upper middle.
Yes. And do they have cavities at this time?
I think one has cavity.
All right. Well, we do not see these teeth as necessarily needing to be removed, though there is a need to get work done on them, perhaps to see a more holistic dentist or another sort of dentist will be more helpful in this process. Now, chewing on cloves, whole cloves, will help the infection and will also help with the pain in the meantime. You have asked about the meaning of this pain, and in a sense, it has to do with a great degree of overwhelm that comes to here affect your mouth, how you both chew and speak. So when you allow yourself to relax more and release greater degrees of this fear, again, this pain itself will move. Though, do continue to find other ways that you can meet this pain with professional help. Should infections continue, you can use the plant golden seal to fight the infection off in the meantime, though we do not see this as something that requires removal. So it is best to continue to listen to your intuition in that sense.
Okay, and do you see that the infection is going to come back, or do you think that it will not come back?
At this time, there is a chance that it may come back unless you, again, use these medicines and other antiviral and antibacterial medicines.
Okay.
Natural, of course.
Oh, thank you. Okay, and then I have another question, and it is, so since like longer time, I'm always staying awake really late until the night because I like to be in the night. I don't know, but then I also wake up late in the morning, and it kind of like makes me feel weird, and I want to like change my cycle in a way that I can wake up with the sun, or better before the sun, and go to sleep more early. But it's so hard for me, and I don't know why. Do you have any guidance on how I can best do that?
Yes. So you may start with a gradual change of an hour earlier every night, and also understand that around your 10 p.m., your body goes through a switch in its cycle that it starts to turn on again unless you fall asleep before that time. So you will find that when you stay up past 11 or 12, it is much harder to even fall asleep than if you listen to that first wave that makes you tired a bit earlier on. So you can practice in that way, and you can also even set an alarm to wake up earlier and in a way push yourself to wake up knowing that it will be easier to fall asleep earlier if your body is genuinely more tired and needs the rest. And of course, this need not be an everyday thing, because if you desire to stay up later, then there may be something important for you to gain in those hours. Underneath the stars and underneath the moonlight, there's a different frequency that activates certain aspects of your psychic current. So for your intuitive development, it is sometimes helpful to be out beneath the stars and beneath the moon. And those times are good for you in that sense. So you may experiment with this advice, though understand as well that everybody has a different natural cycle. And some people are meant to be late night people, and that is just fine.
That's what I feel. Thank you. Okay, and I have one last question that's more for the collective. So, right now there is a lot of conversation and a lot of revelation about all the different governmental systems that are like about black magic and human trafficking, and they eat
Yes.
children and blah 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 blah. And so I'm wondering, for us light workers, is it important to have to reveal this information so that it can come to the surface, or would it be better to, you know, not even talk about it and fully focus on the positive?
Well, neither one of those two extremes is what we actually suggest.
Oh.
So imagine a middle path between them, in which you understand the validity of those ideas and those organizations and those structures. And you do not ignore them, but you simply acknowledge them. And nor do you make yourself a sort of missionary or activist fighting against them. Because again, understand that part of what you describe as the law of attraction makes it so that that which you focus upon, you get more of. And by focusing upon those forces of darkness and using this attitude of aggression and worry, concern, fear, to some degree, you actually strengthen those forces. So it is very much outside of the capability of many people at this time on your planet to be aware of those forces and not feel fear. And so clearly, some of these forces want people to spread fear-based information about their organizations, which they claim to be secret, by getting more attention from the masses. The forces have more power. So understand again, every time you give attention to those negative agendas, they become stronger. And this is why we encourage you to even make a joke of it. And of course it is
Did
sad.
you say a
and
joke?
It is, yes,
Okay.
it is sad and it is painful and it is not what you prefer, that so many suffer in your world. Yet what we describe to you as wisdom now is knowing the difference between that which you have the power to change and that which you do not. So, as individuals, the way that you change these forces is by creating a new platform entirely. Again, creating the foundation of the new earth, doing all of those activities and experiences that generate love, connection, and harmony between people. Those souls that are engaged in these forces represent an entire different reality that exists simultaneously within your planet. And again, the more you look to that other reality, it's like you say to the earth, yes, I want to coexist with this longer. So again, simplified. The middle ground is acknowledging it without putting fear into it and without needing to say anything about it, but focusing again on what you are creating. For you are, again, the creators of your own reality. And when you focus powerfully enough on your own reality and your community and what you can do for those around you and those you have the potential to reach, you will have a much greater power that will eventually take a full charge on this planet.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, our great thanks and our love to you as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. Is Denise still on the call? Denise, would you like to ask a question if you're still here? Okay. I'm going to go ahead to Caroline. Caroline, would you like to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hello, yes.
Here I am. Yes. First of all, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for offering all of this clarity and beautiful wisdom. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Great thanks to you.
Thank you. My question, or actually it's a desire of mine to have a deeper connection with my galactic family, but I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know who they are, so just asking maybe for a little bit of insight into what that looks like. And I'll just ask that question first, please. Thank you.
All right. Well, do you meditate? Are you there with us still?
I think she muted herself. Caroline,
right.
are you still there? Well, I think she muted herself, so maybe
All right.
just
Well, if you want a straight out answer, then we would say there are many factors that determine your availability for contact. And the first is following your passion, making sure that you are directing all of the energy into those things that you love the very most. And then from there, we would encourage you to open yourself to processes of meditation, contemplation, shamanic journeying, energy work, anything that you are drawn to, that you believe to some degree in, and taking that time aside to simply tap in to these higher realms of consciousness and understand that you must, first of all, open up to this contact, request it, say, dear beings of the light and of service to all that is, would you please make contact with me? And as you make that request and as you set aside that time to enter into a contemplative state, notice what occurs. Sometimes it may seem as if nothing occurs, though you will still be aware of something. What are you aware of? Usually those first phases of contact involve transferences of energy, in which you feel waves or beams of energy coming towards you and entering into your energy body from these extraterrestrial or angelic groups. You may see colors, you may hear messages. And again, it is a matter of allowing all of this to be perceived. Everything that is imagined is really a true and valid aspect of this experience. So again, what you consider imagination is this receiving device for all of these impressions. And if you surrendered to it and allowed it to go to work, you would find that your state of consciousness greatly changes. And of course, your dream time is one of those greatest windows of opportunities for contact. So again, opening and requesting for support to come from us to you in the dream time before you go to sleep will be helpful. And keeping a journal of your dreams immediately when you wake up, before you move, ask yourself, what did I dream? What occurred there? For many of these contact experiences are already happening there in the dreams. And of course, a final tip is to, as much as you can, surround yourself with the energy frequency of the transmissions from these intergalactic realms. So we come through channels, both in words and in sound. We come through channels in writing and in symbols and in art. And there is so much information out there. There are even crop circles that some of us create in your world. And all of this information is encoded with a frequency. And the more that you immerse yourself in this information, the more your frequency will raise to match our frequency, and you will be able to tap more easily into these downloads, as you call them, and translate them in your own way. So open yourself to all of that information available to you, and it will all be supportive in helping you tune your vibration more clearly to that of ours.
Okay, yes, thank you. Sorry, I didn't hear the very beginning. My computer cut out. But I have been sitting in prayer and asking for connection and being in nature, and I don't really surround myself with the TVs or unnecessary noise or anything to really keep that channel open. I do have a second question, and that is, through all of this.
Before you continue,
yes.
When you are meditating, do you feel anything when you make the request that we come?
You know, maybe not the way I think it should look. So I have to be very careful with that too, and open a broader perspective of, you know, different signs. Like I see, you know, a lot of times in nature, I'll see like hearts. I see a bunch of that. And my dreams have been very scattered and really strange. Just kind of pieces of memories, actually. I haven't been anything other than that lately.
All right.
Yeah, I do feel definitely a deep sense of peace, you know, even through this time that we're going through right now. I feel very solid and I feel at peace, and, you know, I want to move forward in the ways that I have come here to serve. And I get confused because I don't know what that looks like. And so I'm really working on, you know, just being in the present moment, because, you know, everything shifts and changes as each day, you know, unfolds. And so I was gonna, you know, that was my second question, and asking, like, you know, how that looks. You know, I want to move about in the world and not just be in one place anymore. And, you know, my financial stability isn't where I would like it to be. So, you know, just really knowing how to move forward in this time that I feel is exactly the reason that I came here, is to, you know, be a bridge and help people, you know, in transitioning into, you know, being solid at this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So again, to live your purpose and to be of greatest service, all that is really necessary is that you do exactly what you love all of the time. Is that you allow yourself to deepen into this vibration of unconditional love by unconditionally loving yourself enough to choose to do exactly what suits you and what expands that force of love within you, regardless of any fears of this or that instability. Do you find yourself choosing that?
More than I used to, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And is there something that you feel inspired to do but are not yet doing?
You know, yeah, there's moments definitely with that I see things that I should, you know, that I feel like I do. But I've been really just taking this time to, you know, meet those places of resistance with a little bit more compassion and love, and a little bit more of a, you know, a broader perspective of, you know, what's going on. So, you know, just using this time to really, you know, embody, like, you know, learn about embodying, like, fully all of the things that are going on, like, within me.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So are you are using this time to get to know yourself more?
Yes.
To get more clear in what you believe to be true, to get more clear in where to focus your energy.
Yes.
Yes. So, yes, then we would say that this is naturally a time of sorting. So, again, all of these dreams you are having are the ways in which you are sorting through your past experience in order to become clearer as to where you are going and what you are doing. So you may find this review continues, and you can also consciously examine those experiences that you have had and really get to the core, asking yourself the question, what have I learned from these experiences that I would not have otherwise learned? And knowing what I know now, what can I do that I was not capable of before? And as you find many meanings, many answers to that question in your own right, in your own life, those natural steps of, again, following your joy and passion will manifest and be made more clear.
Thank you.
And again, so there is a great force working with you. There are several groups of beings that want to make contact with you, though you are not interpreting their energy in a way that it is really accessible to you. So some of the phenomena you experience when you meditate, the feeling of peace, internal sounds, certain thoughts, are actually invitations to make contact from different spiritual realms. And so you can play with that and deepen into that. Allow the inquiry to deepen in your meditation, asking who is there and how can I come to know you more clearly, and simply pay attention to where that sensation manifests, or if there is an internal voice, of course one that will sound much like your own, but an internal voice nonetheless that begins to reply to you.
Thank you.
Yes, our great thanks to you as well.
Denise, you want to go ahead? So Denise, are you there? I might have Denise type in her question because I am not hearing her.
All right.
Okay, Denise, so go ahead and write down your question and I'll do my best to ask it. Okay. Alexandria, why don't you come and ask your question, because we're not hearing Denise. Denise, you can go after Alexandria. Alexandria, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Yes, and good day to you.
It's so good to see you and hear you and be here. So I don't exactly know where I'm going to go with this question, but I recently made the decision to explore more into polyamorous relationships.
Yes.
I chose to do this for the sake of my mind and really falling into unconditional love, and I feel a lot of relief from it, and I want to make sure that I'm making the right decision, because I was in a partnership and he ended up going out on me, and you know, we decided that it wasn't working at one point. So
Yes.
I want him to be able to be free and decide what he needs to decide. And I also want to be free to do the same thing. So it feels right.
Yes.
I just kind of want to get your feels on.
Yes, this is a perfect relationship style and choice for some. And we'll be a way for you to explore more options.
Okay.
Is there any part of you that does not trust this exploration?
I mean, I have wounds that I'm still working on healing from the relationship. So there may be some in like those boxes, but a lot of
All right.
that I've let go of. It's just a
Yes.
matter of I'm going to trust the universe and allow.
Yes. This is a powerful path, and we can say that both of these choices of monogamy and polyamory serve the evolution, and it is simply a matter of which path suits individuals in each moment. So this idea of polyamory gives people a greater sense of choice and allows you to see and experience that the love within you expands in connection with all others. And in this sense, every relationship you have is a love relationship where you expand your ability to give and receive love. And to be able to explore the most intimate depths of love with many people allows many souls, and even more souls in this time, to expand and deepen into love. And of course, this path of monogamy and commitment in that sense, to commitment in a sense to one person, does allow people who choose that to deepen in their understanding of themselves and in the understanding of their personal patterns in a deeper and broader sense. It teaches lessons of commitment in the sense of showing up again and again to the same connection. And there is so much that is in common between the paths, though there are so many new ways of relating that are emerging at these times. So be courageous and bold in exploring, and know that all of you have the choice to have relationships in exactly the way that suits you personally.
Wonderful. That is amazing. I also wanted to bring up the main reason that I decided to do it is because we had a child together and it had happened very significantly quickly. We never got the time
Yes.
to explore each other and to maintain that cord for the sake of the baby. So everything you had to say was absolutely perfect. So thank you for giving that comforting hug of understanding. I don't have any more questions.
Oh, all right. And we thank you, and yes, extend our love to all of you as well.
Okay, Denise, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yay! I do not know what was wrong before, but thank you so much, Pleiadian Council. I have a question. I was just thinking about actually leaving Wisdom's question about sleep. And I do have another question, but basically I'm just, I tend to like to stay up late, but then I'm tired the next day because I don't really get a full night's sleep. And I'm wondering if there's this ideal time for me to kind of regularly go to sleep by, that, you know, where I would get the energies of the stars and the moon, but I would also, you know, keep rhythm with the earth in a good way.
All right. Well, are you naturally exploring your excitement in these late night time hours?
I think I get stuck on my phone or something, and I think I have some resistance to going to sleep. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not. I kind of am. I feel like a sense of lightness and freedom and timelessness, but then I don't know if I'm all necessary. I mean, I'm exploring my curiosity, exploring things online, and I feel a little more freedom, but I'm not sure if I'm really doing, you know, my highest excitement.
All right. Then we would say that in a way you are interfering with these natural cycles, and it may be helpful for you to simply put down the phone and really ask yourself what you may be distracting yourself from. What feeling is so uncomfortable that you have to make sure you are genuinely exhausted before you have that deep, alone, undistractable time? Do you understand?
I think so. Before I go to sleep, or you said deeply exhausted before I have that I'm not sure I understand.
Well, in a sense, what you are doing is using your phone to distract yourself from deeper beliefs and emotions to the point that you cannot possibly use the phone anymore, and you have much extraneous information floating through you. So you go right to sleep, you go right to unconscious without taking that time, that window of no stimulation, no external information, simply your own presence. In that presence, you will discover very much.
Yes. Do you have a suggestion, like, just to keep myself on track with something, like a time that I kind of put everything
No, we
down?
don't. Because, again, it is a matter of you attuning to yourself. And again, the way that so many of you in your world have attempted to compensate for your natural attunement to yourself by making structures and routines is, from our perspective, quite extraneous. So the time that you put the phone down is the time that you are genuinely tired, and it is the time that gives you at least half an hour window to meditate, to contemplate, to feel what you are feeling without using something external to distract yourself from that emotion, so that you can uncover what belief is beneath it and practice a greater degree of self-love by changing those beliefs and accepting yourself in that process.
Yes. Thank you. I have a question about, basically I'm here at my parents' house. My dad died last month, and I'm going through the house, doing the estate stuff, all the responsibilities. I'm also seeking to, experience my greatest joy. I've been dancing more. I don't know. I'm
Yes.
also, I'm seeking to really build that into my day.
Yes.
And I have daily things that I have to do. I'm also thinking about, when my dad died, it's like my family died. I don't really have much of an immediate family anymore. I want to build a new family. I want to meet my beloved. And I also, my employment, being a substitute teacher is no longer available. And I also want to do things with children and parents, like helping them homeschool their children in ways that are really for their highest good, because now the time is
Yes.
right for that. And I'm a little bit not sure about priorities right now. I'm going through a deep grieving process. I have responsibilities, and I also I'm not sure about the timing or how to move forward in drawing my beloved. There is a quarantine, so that may be more difficult, but drawing in my beloved and also drawing in a new, and how would I create a new livelihood in working with parents and with homeschooling, because the timing seems to be good right now for that. But then my life, I've got a big plate with a lot of stuff on it. So I'm not so sure.
Well, okay.
Happen. Thank you.
Understand that when we say follow your highest excitement, live your love, And we say that this pathway is complete, that there is nothing else you actually need to do. We are not lying to you at all. We are telling you the absolute truth. Because when you attune to that force of great love, and you simply choose to allow it to inspire you to take heart-based action that stimulates your heart and not your mind. Your mind, of course, may be stimulated, but the first part of you that is stimulated is your heart. It is a visceral feeling. It moves through your body. It is a pleasurable feeling, as we have said earlier in the transmission. You are allowing higher forces to work through you. And when you are in that frequency, your higher mind begins to organize everything else for you. All of these meetings and all of these events that you are attempting to plan for, your higher mind is already planning for. But every time your human mind attempts to grasp and or control or understand what the higher mind has planned, the plan itself changes, and you delay it by being out of alignment with the rhythm of that great force of love. Do you understand?
I think so. I think just stay in the great force of love and the universe will plan it for me.
Yes. So there may be many questions and concerns, and as they arise, again, remember that it is doing what you love naturally that will bring everything into its alignment. So you may find that experimenting with different ways that you could help others learn to teach their children will help you now. You could experiment with the idea of dating sites if that is exciting for you now. You could start to put energy into these experiences, yet have no insistence as to the when, the how, or the who. Understand that, again, the passion and the joy you feel in the process is the driving mechanism, and that there may still be new processes that are required to help you learn lessons that clear out the old belief systems along the journey. And again, understand that you are greeting so many things with worry that is extraneous. When you really see the facts of all of the forces supporting you in life, you will understand that there is no rush in when this or the other thing starts or doesn't start. But the more you think about it, the more you place your focus there with worry and concern as to the timing, the more you will experience delays and missed opportunities. So much of the time that you have been worrying about when, many times in that worry, you missed out on a connection that was there to bring you closer to where you are intending to go.
Yes. And is there a way I can connect with my father and my mother, especially my father right now?
Yes. Well, they are always with you. And so, again, in those times that you create alone and intimate with yourself, you open up to the spirit world. And so, again, as you stop distracting yourself and stop worrying and simply contemplate the essence of spirit in every moment, those beings will come to you and they will meet you and you will feel their presence more. They are truly all around you, though they need you to slow down enough to be able to receive and meet them first.
Okay. Okay. I'm just feeling very lonely and alone here without them, and it feels really strange.
That is all right. And again, in this loneliness, you can come to reevaluate what connection really means. And of course, you will always long for your parents, though there are so many others that can reflect love with you, that can help expand love with you. So know that while you may be feeling lonely, you are not totally alone. in any sense of the word. And that while they are not in their bodies, they are just as much with you in spirit. And as you get used to this new means of connection, there will be a greater love that you come to experience through it.
Greater love that I come to experience through it. Wow, thank you.
Our great love and thanks to you as well.
Do you see the unmute button?
Yeah. Hi. This is Galen.
Hello,
Thank you
yes.
for being here. So I'm wondering about land and that like imminent different possibilities of mostly like who, where, how.
Yes.
It feels like Corbett has told me like you're home, and like all along that like Sandy River watershed, and then Port Orford has told me the same thing, although that feels like less possible, and Javi, I've had a similar feeling in. I've been told by Divine Grace, the angels, that I'm gonna have more homes than anybody I know, so I see that as a possibility.
Yes.
I see a lot of possibilities for living with different people that are my family and my chosen family, and I also see some like conflicting personalities, and wondering about like whether everybody is going to be in one place or like or whether there's going to be specific projects, but just guidance on how to really move forward, and keep visioning, and also I kind of worked through like shamanic journeying as a big piece of my like exploratory practice, and so I'm definitely going to do a lot of that in this, and yeah, just how to move through with who and how and where, and if I should maybe look at expanding outside of those areas that have told me that I'm home.
Well, again, redefining your definition of home is key. Understanding that wherever you walk on the earth and you are safe, you are at home. Wherever you can meet your needs, you are at home. And this, again, concept of ownership in your world has arisen out of fear. And as you move into a love-based world, you will start to question the very notion that humans own land, own places, own locations, own this or that, or belong to this and not to that. And you will start to see that all of the world is you, and you belong to everywhere in that sense. So be open to the many locations, and be open to the movement between them, and be open to the challenges that arise in certain relationships. And again, understand there is this sort of mechanism of the law of attraction that affects your relationships. And this is something that even humans have noted in a not so metaphysical way, and they have termed it the Pygmalion effect. And it is when you anticipate a certain behavior from another human, you act and think and speak in ways that guarantees or increases the probability of them reacting to you in the way that you expect. And so many times you create confusion around you by expecting that different parties associated with you will not get along. And you can continue to create this as your experience the more that you resist conflict and the more that you anticipate conflict. But when you reframe conflict itself as a means of interpersonal belief system recalibration, and you decide that recalibrating belief systems is something exciting to you because you know in a deep way that it is something that everyone on your planet needs to do should your planet evolve, then you can use these moments not as something challenging and uncomfortable, but as something that is an edge of growth that pushes you and allows you to expand your perspective. So be open to all of those challenges. They will be fun if you allow them to be. And when you hold a great degree of unconditional love for yourself and everyone involved, everyone in turn will deepen in that love. And so you need not really, again, seek those other places to call home. Simply follow your joy and excitement, and they will arise for you. They will be drawn to you.
Thank you. I feel like just asking, like, there's like a end yet there, and it's like the end yet land access is controlled pretty strictly by, at least in the current level, and this may be restructuring, but it's controlled by the people who hold the so-called title to that land.
Yes.
And so I just feel like following my highest joy, I really want to start making connections with those who hold titles to such land, so that I can be not just living in city the whole time as like a default, because it's just like, it's kind of like a whirlpool of a bathtub. It like sucks me back down into it, and I'm like, okay, here I am again, which is fine, but that's not where I want to be after.
Yes. Yes, so as you connect with those people with different plots of land, you may find many good connections arise. It is a journey of shifts and changes, moving you from one location to another. To some extent, you enjoy that, yes. And if you didn't, to some extent, enjoy it, it most likely would not be occurring in this way. Again, we see you as somebody with a dynamic energy. You allow for things to move and change. And so in moving from place to place, you are bringing this dynamic energy that allows for changes to occur in others. So for you to be pinned to one place would not be allowing all of your gifts to really emerge in that sense.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I have so many questions still, but I think it just, I think it just like lives to, it's just meant to be answered in the moment.
Yes.
I have one more question about something entirely different, if that's appropriate.
All right, yes.
So I had a dream of my album cover a while ago, and
yes,
I was like hanging from a tree, like leaning back, kind of like with my back arched, like kind of suspended from my waist where the weight point was, like I was wearing a harness, with all these clothes that I had made, and it was from the tree that I believe it was from the tree that I've journeyed by going down through their roots. And then there was 3 symbols, an arrow, a crystal, and a feather in this circle around me. And then there was a blurred out forest, and then on the back it was the same thing, but an owl in the center. And I've been kind of looking into the symbology around all of that, and I was especially interested by the part of Norse mythology where Odin hangs from Yggdrasil or presumably Yggdrasil, maybe another tree, to receive he basically like hangs for 3 days and 3 nights or something. Yeah, I forget exactly, but to basically to receive, or maybe it's 40, to receive the runes, which are like tree wisdom coming as written language to bring wisdom to the people. And I'm just wondering if there's like some insight beyond that that you have to share about the specific symbology and that, or my connection to like runes or Yggdrasil or that part of my bloodline. Yeah, or anything else.
Again, the images that you saw initially were?
The images are, I'm hanging from a tree, like suspended by a harness, so not by my feet, but more like by my waist, and I'm leaning back, and I'm hanging from this tree that is a tree that I've journeyed by going down the roots, and then around, projecting from the circle in kind of like a male-female trans kind of positioning. As far as like that symbol, there's a feather, a crystal, and an arrow, which I have some insights about as well. But and then there's an owl in the back.
Yes. So, in a way, this is a symbol of, together, you could say, a shamanic opening, a bridge between nature and humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So, the core of what this artwork is you are bringing through is that of opening a portal between the realms for messages to be communicated.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, you can see the piece as that.
Yes.
Of course, in your own continuing journey, more of the meanings here can be deciphered. A common figure of a feather is that of a messenger, as birds themselves also carry messages between worlds and were used as such in the past. And of course, the arrow means hitting your mark, precision. So, in a sense, you are being asked to bring a precise message through to humanity from that world of trees and crystals.
Mm-hmm.
And the runes themselves and other tools from ancient past are still alive in your bloodline. To answer your question, that yes, you can open up gifts and abilities from those times, from those pathways, by reflecting upon them and, of course, studying those ideas deeper if it calls to you.
Mm-hmm.
For there is certainly much to learn and explore there.
Thank you so much.
Yes, our thanks and love to you as well.
Bless you.
Let's see. Okay, watch out for the cord. All right. So Aviv. Oh, sorry about that. This cord. Aviv, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Thank you for being here. I have so much appreciation for the time and the space that we're in right now.
Oh, and our great thanks to you as well.
So I'm an artist, and I've been using this time in quarantine to very much like explore the empowerment in that. And so the past 7 days, I want to say, I've been in like an empowerment kick. I've been painting every day for at least 10 hours, and it's very exciting. It's very activating, and really brings me into my body. But I've noticed, for one, within, my home environment with my roommates, but also within my community, I've been feeling a sense of dissonance.
All right.
I have a lot of like joy and ecstatic bliss within my body. But my connection with my roommates has become to get a little bit more spacier. I feel like I'm not like showing up for them and supporting them the way that they need me to be. And
All
that
right.
also radiates outwards towards like my external community. Um, like I've walked around in my neighborhood and like felt like an odd sense of dread, uh, just from leaving my house and leaving like my comfort zone. And I'm really curious, moving forward, as I fall into this role as an artist, how much of myself do I is like healthy for me to devote and to like, you know, completely submerge myself into before I dissociate with my environment. You know, do I obviously I should find some more integrative practices. I do lots of yoga and meditation to bring me back into my body.
Yes.
But I still want to be like an open channel, like
Well, have
with my
you
art,
spoken with
to
your
bring,
roommates and with
you
others about
know,
this energy of dissonance?
yeah, yes, yeah. We totally have talked about it. We've like chatted about it, for sure.
And have they expressed some needs that are unmet?
So yeah, a little bit, yeah. I've for example, I like haven't really like hung out with them, haven't gone on walks or anything. I'd rather focus on my art. Conversations are quite difficult for me to have when I'm, you know, really deep into a painting. Um, and that's like the trouble. Like I can like see myself fractalize my focus away from my painting to give it elsewhere, and it's become a point to where like I've like received phone calls from loved ones, and I've been so deep into my painting that I like knowingly miss the call. um and it's a weird feeling because I feel so much empowerment, and I feel so um like truly just like happy while I'm painting, but also just slightly dissonant with my environment. And I guess my question is like, how do I immerse myself in my art but still allow myself to be immersed with, you know, my the physical 3D plane.
Do you
So
have any excitement and passion in strengthening your connections with others as well?
absolutely, absolutely. I yeah. Um, Certainly.
Perhaps it is as simple as pausing and setting aside that time, committing to take a bit of time away from the art to create that connection with others,
Right. Yeah.
and
Uh,
understand that to relate is a need as well. And perhaps question to some degree, is there something that you may be avoiding by not choosing to set this time aside already?
right. Yeah, but there's certainly potential for that. I certainly feel safe around my paintings and my art. It certainly like brings me back to like a womb state. Um,
Yes.
and venturing out of that um, makes me like uncomfortable and a little bit anxious, which is like not something that was common for me pre-quarantine. I in fact
Yes.
like quite enjoyed, you know, seeing people and establishing connections. But um, I'm navigating that.
Well, within the anxiety, what do you fear? Do you fear being rejected? Do you fear being condemned? Do you fear not belonging? Do you fear being judged? Is there a specific core of this that repeats?
I think it's fear of judgment. Um, uh, it's part of being taken as not only like a serious artist but also a responsible um person. There are like two large nodes that like really enforce this. Is like especially with this quarantine where I'm at, they're very like strict about it, and um you know, and there's all the social anxieties of like, you know, being away from, you know, the sanctuary of our home right now. um that is kind of conflicting me. So it's like a little bit of fear as well, I suppose, of like venturing outside of my house and potentially getting sick. um there are like all of these things that are like shifting my natural way of being, to the point where I realize that I'm very much different now. um and I'm yet to see what that really looks like under like a normal setting.
That's all right. Well, we would say that you can throw away the idea of a normal setting in the evolution of your world at this time, for there will be many cycles of change and transformation. So beyond the fear of going outside and catching a disease, it is important to look at this notion of the way others perceive you and understand that, first of all, no one ever really sees you. They see a version of you through their own filters, through their own beliefs, through their own values, and through their own concepts of reality that are deeply held. And so, especially if somebody is holding on to a very clear concept of what is right and what is wrong, what is better or worse, they will see you through that. What they are seeing has really nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the beliefs that they have accepted. And so when you can accept that, many people will not see you, and it is you and your own degree of self-acceptance that is paramount in moving forward without anxiety, or at least with less anxiety. Then you can throw away any ways that you may alter your natural behavior to make others feel okay with you. We will say that what you are doing is very powerful, and that you are naturally following your excitement almost most of the time in doing your painting and your work in the sense. And you can deepen into relationships simply by, again, expressing openly those fears, processing them in this similar way regularly until they are no longer held. And again, reminding yourself that the way that others perceive you is never going to really be fulfilling for you. It is only your own acceptance of yourself that can lead to that lasting fulfillment. And of course, as you accept yourself, more people will in turn accept you, because so much of the time when people have a core off feeling about someone, what they are tapping into is that person's internal relationship with themselves. So there may be certain aspects of your being that you have great value for, though you may have a certain view of yourself in relationship or in relationship with certain aspects of your world or responsibilities within your world that is in a way self-judging. And the fear you could see then as an extension of this self-judgment. You fear that other people will validate and affirm the judgments you are already making about yourself. Though when you can accept that you work in a unique way, and as an artist, you have a unique way of living and operating that other people aren't really meant to understand the way that you are, you can, again, let this go and open up that same degree of flow of unconditional love you experienced when you were making art in everything else you are doing as well, because you will see that every other interaction that you are taking is an extension of the art, that the information you gain throughout the rest of your life then becomes embroidered in a way in your art on some energetic level. It is all one process in that sense.
Great. Thank you so much. We have just about or overtime now, so we'll just ask one question apiece. I have a quick one.
All right.
I've been invited to perform at my friend Z's festival, which is taking place September 10th through the 14th. And
Yes.
she's inviting 150 people. And I know we're supposed to be sort of out of lockdown in the summer and then back in November, but I'm just wondering if this festival is it realistic that this festival is really going to take place? And so, yeah, that was my question.
Yes.
Good. Okay, cool. All right, that's me. Let's see.
Yes, we would say with an 80% probability at this point.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Should we be wearing masks?
Frank says, should we be wearing masks at the festival?
Most likely not by that point, no.
Cool.
Wow. Okay.
Super. Okay, and Ellis, did you have another question? And then Chris.
Yes, mine is not so quick, but I'll try to shorten it.
All right.
So it's a little bit of past and future. This time that I've been here in quarantine, I've lived in one place for a few months, and I haven't really appreciated what it is or trusted to be present and nourished and move into a new way of being. And it's been a little difficult, and I'm trying not to regret it too much or be too hard on myself. But I'm moving forward into a new housing space and kind of thinking about where that should land for me in the next week. And I have medical appointments coming up, and there's an anniversary of my ex-girlfriend's death that's kind of significant that's coming up in the next couple weeks as well. A lot all at once. And the last couple weeks I've had a lot of energy, a lot of walking, a lot of intense emotions, and I'm trying to see how I can kind of let the smoke clear a little bit so that I can be kind of grounded and moving forward in a way that's a little gentler, but still with fervor, I guess. And looking forward to the future and kind of letting go of what could have been, I guess, in terms of connection made or not made or something in general too.
It is important that as you move forward, you also make the space to really get in touch with your emotions and know that the concept you have generated in your world, that your emotions slow you from progress, is really the opposite of the truth. So when you create that space and you allow yourself to feel deeply, naturally you will come to the core of those belief systems and allow them to be unplugged and transformed simply through your surrender to the feeling alone. And this is occurring for you and for so many naturally at this time, that you are coming to release the weight of the past and the loss of what could have been in order to embrace the new and the unknown. So as you walk in presence, then simply hold the space in your heart for everything you are feeling, and perhaps seek practices that support you in grieving, in letting go, in feeling deeper, in feeling supported in that process as well. Supported, of course, by the trees and those beings of the earth, but also by those around you. Reaching out for those connections can be very helpful. And in the moments where you do feel free to move. Again, continuing to choose those forces that awaken the greatest love within you, as it will all guide you in the right direction. And know that new landing pads, new places to call home are there for you. So trust the process, trust the journey.
Thank you.
Does that satisfy you?
Yeah, so feeling those emotions will help kind of clear the path and the energy.
Yes. Make the space for them, embrace them. When you are feeling them, invite them in fully and expand the sensation of it where you feel it in your body. And again, know that this is a part of that pleasure of your purpose to clear those beliefs. So invite in that love to wash away the tensity. As you embrace the emotion, you can come to see that all that you are feeling is an aspect of love.
Great, thank you so much.
Great.
Our love and thanks to you as well.
Thank you, Ellis. And Chris, one last question.
Great. Yeah, thanks for the extra time. So the other thing I'm curious about has to do with, so there's this teaching, this really common ET teaching that we're constantly, every moment, a billion times a minute or a second, navigating to different bodies, different realities.
Oh, yes.
And I always like to explore what that means, you know. And so there's a lot of other really common teachings about how trauma is stored in the body and tension is stored in the body, and that we, in order to do shadow work and in order to open up, we want to do things like breath work and body work and work with the body. And so I'm wondering how those two teachings mix together, because I guess maybe they're just permission slips, like doing body work is a permission slip to navigate to a body that doesn't have the trauma in the first place. But if we're not
precisely
stuck in one linear body, yeah.
Well, here we can reconcile this for you in a very simple way in saying that you are shifting billions of times a nanosecond, and in every one of those shifts, when you do not allow yourself to feel what's beneath the surface, you recreate a body with stuck energy. So again, the idea that trauma and emotion is stored in your bodies is very true. It goes to those deeper layers into the cellular memory, and then once it becomes unconscious, something you don't look at, something in the background, one of those apps that's in the shadows, you could say, it is recreated every time you shift because you are not aware of it. And so by bringing it into conscious awareness and feeling it and releasing it, you then make a good leap in those shifts into a reality in which it's not held in your system anymore. And of course, as you experiment with this understanding and these processes of release, every time you make a shift and release more of that held pain, you can do it in a quicker way. And there does come a time in which the things you are holding in your body don't even come from your personal past, but more come from the collective energy field that creates a sort of unconscious limitation. And then you can, in a way, create new versions of yourself that are not adhering to those collective agreements.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. You're proven to be really good at reconciling some of these dilemmas for me.
Oh, well, we thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you everyone for coming today. Your questions have just been so expanding and enlightening. And thank you, Pleiadian Council. I think we are complete.
Oh, and we thank you all very much for allowing this transmission to occur, this moment of your time. That has been a great pleasure and blessing for us as well. We can speak for a moment to the overall themes as they relate to what is occurring now astrologically, you can see now your moon in the sign of Scorpio, and the moon is said to be exalted in the opposite sign of Taurus. Where is your sun today? So the moon in Scorpio is what is considered in its fall at this time, meaning this moon relating to your emotional body goes through a bit of a challenge moving through this window of Scorpio, which is about the depths, which is about the deepest ways you can relate, which is about your power to create, your power to destroy, seen as two sides of the same coin. And of course, this is the axis itself of sexuality and pleasure. And so we say to you today, the greatest message is that you can derive some sense of pleasure and joy in a process of release. This isn't to say you become addicted to the release, because there are catharsis junkies on your planet, but it is to say that you must come to a time in your world where collectively you develop a belief system in the goodness of feeling things that are not good, in the magic of being able to honestly say what you believe about yourself, but you wish you didn't. It is magical and powerful to allow those deeper aspects of yourself to be revealed. And until they are revealed, they shall never be healed. So this is a wondrous time for you. This is a wondrous time for you to accept yourself in order to release. It is a wondrous time for you to affirm that there is nothing wrong with processes of grief, with processes of loss, with processes of fear, and that it is the awareness of feeling and the acceptance of feeling itself that creates the healing. And so we say, yes, it is an examination of your belief systems, but you cannot do it with your mental body alone. It requires this feeling, and it most of all requires a universal acceptance. You accept whatever may come, and you accept all that has been, and you accept yourself as the creator and co-creator of all that you come to experience with others. In this acceptance, these emotions can move, and you can go to your innermost depths and be so vulnerable and intimate with yourself in a way that then allows for greater connection and greater truth to be shared among others. So again, we thank you, and our love and our blessing is with you today. Know that as we leave this channel, we are always with each and every one of you. And again, we are doing all we can to meet you. So as you open up to contact with us, trust in even the smallest sign that something is occurring. For we are attempting very clearly to make many new channels at this time, to be allies in a deep personal sense with each and every one of you. And we hope you can come to meet us in that way. So our great love and our thanks to you, and we wish you a very pleasant evening, day, or night, or whatever it is for you.
Thank you so much. Welcome back, Dante.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Oh, great. I'm glad.
So deep and rich. I have to go back and listen again because I was, busy with the secretarial part of it.
You get distracted by all the things. I
Yes.
get it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yay. Well, so I'm gonna
thanks
take
for
us off
joining,
recording
friend.
unless there's anything we want to say. So then we'll come off the.
Oh yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Okay.
But thank you. Thanks for tuning
Thanks
in.
for
Yay.
tuning in.
Love you all.
Oh, and donations I wrote in the chat box.
Donations.
And we're also on
Oh
Facebook.
yeah.
Dante.Filippini@gmail.com on Facebook. And then at Dante55 on Venmo, the @ symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for that. It really helps us go live, paying for the Zoom platform, and just supporting me as a channel. So really grateful for that. And oh yeah, I guess the last thing would be that we are doing a channeling course that I would hope to start in probably 2 weeks from now. So it'll be weekly meetings online where you get some tools to deepen in your own channeling practice. And then you can, there's like little homework assignments where you can kind of pair up with people in the group and put the skills to work. And I've been doing this with some people, and people have been experiencing a great increase in like their psychic abilities, and some people already initially tapping into channel messages from guides. So I think it's going to be a really beautiful experience, and I can't wait to kind of bring it out into the world more. So contact me if that interests you, and probably start in 2 weeks.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks everybody. I'm going to go ahead and end our recording.
Thank
And then
you.
we'll